Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. We continue our Ask the Expert segment with Auger Hollingsworth Law Firm. We have Brenda Hollingsworth and Richard Auger joining us. 789-6559, extension 2803. If you'd like to give us a call on the air, you can always ask us a question via our Facebook page, via Twitter, and through our email. So I want to go back because I think for a lot of people we aren't aware. Hopefully it's a good thing that it's not something we think about, but being pulled over and being intoxicated. So automatically, as I'm learning, you have the 90 days. License is suspended and the car gets towed away and you're pretty much left on figure things out.
Taken to the police station typically and held in a jail cell, potentially overnight, and then maybe released in the morning if you're fortunate enough, but not necessarily. In the more serious cases where there's an accident, which isn't uncommon either, if somebody's injured, you can have an impaired causing bodily harm charge, which is obviously a higher level up. And then, of course, the worst case scenario is impaired driving causing death. And those serious cases can result in lengthy jail sentences for the person that's found guilty. So obviously, they're very serious matters. And everybody needs to, take as much care as possible to avoid that situation. Again, it's not always the person that's falling down drunk. You can be slightly over the legal limit, be involved in an accident where someone's injured or killed, and find yourself facing the prospect of many years in the penitentiary.
Mm-hmm. And this is something, I think we have that thought process that we're looking at someone who looks and acts and like right off of a Hollywood movie drunk, but it's something that just can be over the limit that you thought you were, you had your glasses of wine at a dinner party and then off you go, and that has real repercussions.
Well, that's right. Again, I've had situations where, people say I didn't have anything. I went to bed at midnight and got up and went to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there was still residual amounts of alcohol in the system that took the person just over the 80 legal limit, and then they're put into the criminal justice system facing all of the implications, the costs and delay in having a trial, and then, hopefully succeeding at trial, but maybe not, and then facing the consequences of a criminal record.
It's interesting because we've done so many segments already on what happens when you're in a collision. So how different do things happen if you have the impaired driving aspect to the case?
If the impaired driver is over 22 or over and has a regular G license, then from the perspective of the victim, it's not that different. So the person's insurance will still cover your injuries. You're still entitled to accident benefits. So from the injured person's perspective, it's annoying because you often have to wait for the criminal trial because you want that conviction to help your case. But generally speaking, it's not that different. Where it's quite different is where you have someone who has alcohol in their system under 22 years old or has a G2 license, because that affects their insurance. And what happens is their insurance goes down from whatever their limits are, let's say $1 million. Most people have $1 million, some people have $2 million. It goes down to $200,000. So if you have serious, that's something the provincial government has regulated. If you have serious injuries, suddenly there's only $200,000 in insurance. Now there's recourse. Most people have the family protection endorsement in their own insurance, but it means that your case is a lot more complicated. You'll probably be compensated, but your case is more complicated. So that is a big difference.
And that is if the person driving is under the age of 22,
right,
and doesn't have and is only working on a G.
Well, it's both.
Okay.
If you're under 22, even if you have a G license, you have to have 0 alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one scenario. A second scenario, and they often overlap, but a second scenario is where you have someone with a G2 license. They also have to have 0 alcohol. So a violation of either of those two rules really affects your insurance availability.
We'll have more opportunity to discuss this as we are talking with Auger Hollingsworth, Brenda and Richard. 789-6559, extension 2803. We've got another segment, so please let us know your questions. We'll be taking them via email, via Facebook, and on the air. We're back after this.